This is the HomeTech Podcast for Friday, the 13th from Southeast Texas. I'm Seth Johnson, y'all.
From Palo, Ohio, I'm TJ Huddleston.
And from Pickering, Ontario, I'm Gavin Campbell.
And welcome to the HomeTech Podcast, a podcast where each week we explore the latest trends and technologies in home automation, from smart thermostats to voice-controlled assistants to automated lighting. We discuss every new product we can find and talk about the ways in which technology is making our homes more comfortable, efficient, connected, and changing the way we live. Thank you, AI, for writing that. That was a lot of fun.
I was like, this doesn't sound familiar. Did you change something and not tell me?
You know, it's funny. Before the show, I went through and I went to the chat GBT thing and I just put a summary of all the articles, or I posted all the articles in there and I said, write a summary for it. And it did a pretty decent job of it. You know, a lot of the summaries make sense to me, and I'm sure they can be refined in a lot of different ways, but it's crazy what technology can do.
Yeah, I thought it was neat how it didn't grab all of the details. It kind of grabbed, the first couple lines, which, like, going back to my high school journalism classes that I was in for some random reason for a couple of weeks. I remember that they would write the very first sentence or two. That's the most important thing. That's what you take away. If you read that, that's pretty much it. And then the rest of it just kind of gets less and less and less as you go. You don't even have to read all of a news story, because the most important thing is usually in the first paragraph or two. And then after that, who cares? Just data that they are using to fill a page. So it all it has to do is read those couple of lines and pull stuff out. And then some of the things that we find important, a computer probably wouldn't find important. So it skipped all that, but I don't know. Thought it did a pretty good job.
Well, you and the AI must have had the same teacher then, since that's basically what it did, is just summarize the first couple of sentences and
a couple of lines. Yeah,
the last one's in there, and I was like, I'm done.
Calling it a day. It's a beer 30. I got a movie recommendation for you guys.
Oh,
it's replaced my holiday movie, favorite holiday movie, for sure. I mean, this is up there next to Die Hard. It's if not above Die Hard, because it's actually a Christmas movie that has a Santa in it. And that's Violent Night. And if you haven't seen this thing, it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. It's got the guy from what's he from? Stranger Things, the sheriff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He plays a grumpy Santa, and man, he is a great grumpy Santa. And yeah, I'm not going to spoil a lot of what it's about, because it went in directions I did not expect it to go in, especially in that first scene there at the bar, right after the bar, Gavin. That was unexpected. When she went out chasing him, yeah, I did not expect that to happen, but it did, and it gets better from there. Just amazing.
I just love how he portrayed Santa in this. I love how Santa just wanted to get drunk. That's all he really wanted to do, right? But anytime a kid needed help, he was the soft side of him would turn around and be like, okay. And then it just went from there. So I really liked it. It was a good movie.
It's a multifaceted movie. Definitely worth checking out. And I couldn't recommend it more. We laughed all the way through the thing. And it's probably one of my favorite holiday movies now. So
I'm just waiting for Cocaine Bear. That's the next one. Cocaine Bear is going to probably top this one.
Which is more exciting, Cocaine Bear or that murdering Winnie the Pooh movie they got?
Oh, yeah. Oh.
What if they combined both of them? What if Winnie the Pooh was all cocained up and then murdered people?
It could be the same thing, honestly. Yeah. I do want to mention our new Mastodon social instance server thing that we have, and it's actually working. And I don't think I have to upgrade it anytime soon, because I checked the server logs and it's fine. I mean, it's fine. It's not running 100% anymore. It's topping out around 40, 30, 35, 40, which is a good comfortable zone. So HomeTech.social, get you in there, grab a username, put something fun inside the why do you want to join, and we'll read it and approve you. So check that out. It's a lot of fun over there. I just posted, hey, join us to watch the show live on that. And I don't know if nobody's joined, but yeah, it is what it is. We don't have anybody. We usually have somebody pop in later. So with that said, what do you guys say we jump into some HomeTech headlines?
Let's do it.
All right. First up here, we've got a new Habitat C8 hub that's kind of leaked out through one of the FCC ID websites. it looks like you kind of have like just a little bit of information that leaks out from these things, but it looks like the same size as I guess the C7 and C5, has built-in Wi-Fi, has some external antennas. Gavin, you know a lot more about Habitat than I do. What do you think about this? What does this look like to you?
They haven't made an official announcement yet, but there's a lot of talk in the hub. People are pulling apart the FCC announcement and getting part numbers and stuff. So what we're thinking is they'll probably have the Z-Wave 800 chips. It's going to probably have, the Z-Wave 3.0, with Thread compatibility, so we can get all the matter and everything. You mentioned they added Wi-Fi. The previous hub did not have Wi-Fi, because they wanted you to plug in the Ethernet and get more, it's more efficient over Ethernet, right? So I guess, they added Wi-Fi because too many people wanted Wi-Fi now. And, I wouldn't be surprised if it's got a little spec bump and processor or anything like that. But it's good to see that a new hub's coming. It means things are going good for them. And, they were judging, people were guessing as to when it would come out. Based on the past, some have said in 6 months. Don't be surprised to see it in 6 months, but we still have to wait on the official announcement from Habitat themselves.
Yeah, it's a cool little leak. TJ, what do you think?
With the moniker C8, it's reminiscence of the Corvette, so it must go really fast.
I mean, not just the next number after C7, is it?
I'm gonna ask Chat GPT to write your jokes for you. From
it would probably do a way better job, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. Well, a company over in the UK called HD Anywhere has launched the new U-Control remote. It's a slender handheld hard button interface that will control all devices connected to the HDA system and more. According to the company, this product brings users a unified whole home AV experience and endless entertainment and scene setting options. It's more affordable than comparable solutions while still being an attractive proposition for installers. So someone posted this over in the hub through the week, and man, I'm glad to see that we got a new remote on the way. This looks pretty good. It's got Wi-Fi and infrared built into it, so it can control quite a few things. Third-party systems, Rayco, Hue, Lutron, Good, G-U-D, I've never heard of that one, Blue OS, and Shelly, among a few others. That's pretty cool. Gavin, you and I were talking about this before the show. You were saying it's you're the remote. You're saying you're the remote. It's going to go against TJ's You're the Lock, but it sounds exciting.
No, it's not. It's not You're the Remote yet. First of all, this is a pro installer remote, so I can't buy it. But
yeah,
looking at the remote, it's got all the buttons. I love the fact that it has all the buttons, because the remotes seem to be going less and less buttons, and I understand why. But I like to have more buttons, and I like the way this one looked out. My prediction for You're the Remote is probably 2024, going into 2025, because when Logitech decides to turn off the servers for the Harmony remotes in 2025, I bet you that's when people will start to panic and you'll start seeing everybody start looking for a new remote. But this remote, I like it. It looks nice.
We don't have any pricing here. Are we going to make a little wager on what the price per button is going to be? It's got 44 buttons altogether. So
44 buttons.
I'm guessing about $15 per button, which would put it about $660.
Was this a UK company that was putting this out?
It is.
And
I think for this this exercise, we're just going to do freedom dollars, not Canadian dollars.
Yeah, you have to convert.
I don't know how to convert it now.
Pound sterling, or I don't know. So you're saying 650, so I could go higher or lower, and then Gavin could also go lower. Still, you could do like the $1 trick. I'm gonna say higher. I'm gonna say 850.
Ooh.
Wow, for a remote, one remote.
No, that's nothing.
850 US. I'm going under 650. No, I'm going
under 650.
I'm going under 650 US dollars.
So Seth's price is roughly $19 per button.
And Gavin went down to 650.
I'll say under 650.
So what is your actual guess though? You can't just say under.
Now I got
That's not how it works on prices, right?
I'm gonna say 500.
500. All right,
Yeah,
we'll note that down. We'll see when we find out about pricing.
Okay.
But yeah, speaking of remotes, I got this little guy, the Skippy, right? The little Skip.
Finally.
Yeah, that looks nice.
Yeah, finally. It does look nice. I pull it out of the box here. It's I don't know. Doesn't have 44 buttons on it, but it's got enough. And I don't know, it looks like it could be very useful.
How does it feel in your hand? I guess that doesn't sound real good, does
Richard was saying it felt pretty nice in the hand. Do you have the same thoughts?
Yeah. No, it's like, I don't know if you can see, like the bottom is tapered, so like it's a little bit bigger where the batteries go. So that's kind of nice. It gives you a weight on that end, so you're not like, oh, I'm not confused thinking that this is the front end.
Yeah, so you can grab it blindly without knowing.
It uses 2 AA batteries. It looks like it hooks up in programs, maybe with a USB, and it's got this little USB.
Oh, yours came with the USB.
That's added bonus.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, real big question here: is it micro USB or USB-C?
The bottom is USB-C on the bottom.
All right. See, that's a win for me.
Yeah, a nice little charging thing. I don't know. I've been watching my parents juggle 2 remotes and lose them throughout the week that I've been here. So I may just program this up for the 2 remotes, the TCL TV that they have in the Spectrum cable box, and say, hey, here you go, have it this, and tell me what you think. Because I don't remember how much this was, but it wasn't that much. And
I think by itself is like $20 or $30.
Oh, I mean, for that price, this thing is.
I think the one that you bought with like the little USB thing was like $45 or $50 together.
It's definitely a recommend if you've got IR controlled devices that you need to put on. We'll put a link to it in the show notes. It's called the Skip, and it's by Flirk. I remember we talked about that company a while back, but I don't know. I'll program it up and see how well that is, and maybe get back to you next week. If I leave it here, that means it was okay enough to leave for the parents, but not cool enough for me to bring home. So if it's really good, I'll bring it home.
And the software is always the hardest part of these devices. You know, I don't think it's that hard to make a piece of hardware that has buttons on it nowadays, but it's the software that it takes to actually program everything and use it on a daily basis. That's the difficult part. So I'm really interested to see what your thoughts are on that. Because a lot of times I'm looking for just a universal remote that only controls a device or two. Like I don't need it to do a ton of stuff. So
yeah,
this seems like a good option for that.
Yeah, especially for the price. I mean, that's it. We'll see what the software's like and reliability and all that good stuff. So I'll find out.
Yeah, definitely take some screenshots for us of the software.
And I know in their Ask Me Anything that they held, they were talking about, giving you little hints of things they were planning for the future. And that's what I'm looking forward from what this company was. They're investigating things like hubs and integrations and stuff like that. So that will be nice to see when they come out.
Yeah. I mean, this one's missing Wi-Fi or any kind of like Zigbee integration. It would be awesome if it had Zigbee radio in it and you could tie into something that used Zigbee, because that works really well. That's why all the cable company remotes use it these days. All right, let's move on. We've got some CES wrap-up stuff that has come up. May as well kick it off with one of the bigger companies, Amazon. Announced a bunch of new Alexa features and partnerships at CES. And I guess one of the first ones that's interesting, it showed up in this article. Where is this thing from? From iPhoneCanada.ca. So I know who put this into our show notes, but this little announcement here, home intelligence system Josh AI can now be integrated with Alexa to work simultaneously alongside Josh AI's voice assistant. Users simply need to use the corresponding wake word. Now, that was really weird. Like, it's a really weird write-up. It's like how that's all the information that we're given from this summary article, and no one else seems to have talked about it. It's not on CE Pro. It's not on Resi Systems. It's not on Josh's website. So it's kind of hard for me to like piece together what it's talking about. Gavin, you and I were talking about this before the show. Like, oh, it's probably just a skill and you can tell Alexa to tell Josh to do this stuff. But this article makes it sound like you can change the wake word and just maybe use an echo to integrate with the Josh system. I don't know. I'm really confused.
No, I highly doubt it's that. It's probably just a skill. And I think it was Robert in the hub that actually pointed this out. It's probably similar to how Sonos does it right now with Alexa, where it's just 2 voice assistants in this, you just got to know which one to talk to, right? And they probably share something between them. I don't know what it is. Maybe you can ask Alexa to ask Josh to do something. Who knows?
Or maybe you can tell Josh to make Alexa do things, right? Like if it's an integrated device with Alexa, they're just integrating with that system.
Yeah, it seems like with Josh, they want to let Josh do the home automation stuff, but then let Alexa do all the extra stuff. So day-to-day tasks and asking the random questions, what's the weather like, and who was in this movie, that type of stuff, right? So I'm sure more news will come out about this later on.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we'll hear a little bit more about it or see what they were talking about, because this story that was posted didn't. I mean, obviously whoever's writing about it had other stuff they were more knowledge about, and that was kind of like a weird data point that he put in. But it's odd that it's not anywhere but here. So
we get the scoops in Canada.
Yeah, you got the scoop in Canada. Amazon Canada with the leak.
Josh is definitely making the rounds, though. I mean, they've been in the news quite a bit in the past 6 months or so.
Yeah.
Joining forces with Snap AV and Control 4, joining forces with Amazon Alexa. I'm interested to see what they do in the next year or two with it.
Yeah, it's definitely been an interesting product to watch and keep an eye on and develop over the years. I like many things about the Josh ecosystem and what it can do and how you can like give things alias names so what it's going to control, and there's like debugging options and things that you just simply don't get with a Siri or an Amazon Echo or anything like that. Like it's really nice. It's really nice to be able to know, or at least look into under the hood and see, okay, this triggered this way because it thought I said this. Let me make that word change to be this, and now the system will get it every time, right? And that's really awesome. The power you have there. It is a more proprietary and expensive system, so integrating with other things is kind of what they're going to have to do. And it was interesting when they started out this thing, they were like, oh, we just want to be a voice assistant, and now it's more like we're a full-fledged like home automation system. Like you don't need anything else besides the Josh AI thing to talk to and control your TV and all that stuff. So interesting product. A couple of other things they announced, and they announced that they were going, Amazon did, announced they were going to expand Matter support to include iOS devices and Thread. They're also it's going to be done in the next phase. It's going to also support smart lights, plugs, thermostats, and a couple more devices, and the rest of the Echo and Eero range. So a little bit of new Matter news, I guess, there from Amazon. And they also announced additions to the Alexa Ambient Home Dev Kit, which is abbreviated AAHDK, which is not even an abbreviation at that point. But the article goes on here. It says that should simplify the experience, including credential sharing, which makes setting up Matter over Thread devices easier by automating sharing logins between apps and manufacturers. So that's kind of cool. Anything that makes these devices easier to set up is a win in my book.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything that makes it easier to use would be ideal for me. I'm just curious what they're actually going to do to make money in the long term, right? I mean, they keep putting time and effort into this, but eventually they're going to have to do something.
Yeah. No, we're talking about like how they lost billions of dollars, or supposedly. I don't know. I think that's going to tighten up. That's not going to last too long. But building into the core ecosystem is going to be key for them. And I think they're a software company. They're not going to have a problem doing that. They've got many smart software people. And the hardware seems to be pretty good. It's like you can expand on it. You can make a speaker sound better, but at some point you're at diminishing returns there. So, Gavin, what do you think about these announcements here from the Amazon Alexa team?
Oh, it's great. It's great to see them actually, developing and releasing new features. Like I'm sure a number of people are getting nervous that, they'd slow down with all the, the fact that they weren't, making money off of it. But no, it looks like they're coming out with some big things. I remember hearing about the ambient home stuff, and I was interested in that, making your home a little smarter with that stuff. I know you talk about Josh AI, having alternate names for devices, so you can call a device more than one thing, and it's kind of funny because Home Assistant just added that feature for the Google Home stuff. So you can give more than one name to a device. And
it's such a smart feature, honestly.
It is.
I don't know why that's not built into any of the other voices. Like that should be like a number, like how you don't run across that within 10 minutes of using any one of these products. I don't understand like why that's not just a default feature.
Exactly. And I'm pretty sure, you'll see Amazon added to theirs. Like they seem to leapfrog each other every now and then. But in the end, it's just good to see them, adding more features and moving forward with this.
Let's see. We've got another Matter story here from Leviton. The smart home device manufacturers announced their second generation Decora smart Wi-Fi devices will support Matter. In fact, it's coming through a free firmware update that will be released in early 2023. It'll include the D26 HD dimmer and the D21 5S switch that'll allow these devices to continue working with Amazon, Alexa, and Google Home. Those integrations stay the same, but it's just going to add in Matter. So that's kind of cool that they are just able to do a firmware update on their devices and get things up and going. This is kind of the opposite of Gavin. You're like, they're going to mess this up. This is a good thing. They're updating stuff that they're selling.
Whoa. It's not out yet.
Yeah,
let's wait for it to come out first now.
Like, seriously.
Too much credit for Leviton there. No.
It won't be another Rakio situation where they announce something and it's not going to happen now.
Yeah, Ring. Like, where's Ring's HomeKit integration, guys? Where is it?
Yeah, we gotta wait for it.
Yeah, and a lot of these devices coming out are Wi-Fi. It's people's Wi-Fi's are gonna be overloaded now, so make sure you beef up your Wi-Fi a bit. Just to be prepared for this stuff. But again, it seems like everybody just has to mention Matter. It's the way it is now. If you don't have Matter on your box, you're no longer taking serious player. But I want to see how it all unfolds at the end. Will Matter just be like another protocol like Z-Wave, Zigbee, and HomeKit, and then we're just gonna have our Habitat hub that integrates them all into one again. Like that's what I'm thinking is just gonna happen. It's gonna be that new standard that we have to integrate with everything else.
I think it's interesting that it's an update too. Like that brings Matter. Like Matter is designed to make things work together, make things, I mean, it kind of already did. It worked with all the other stuff, but Matter just makes everything kind of work a little bit better together. But primarily, like setting it up is what it's going to benefit you with. And it's interesting that this is a firmware update, because when you take a device out of the box and plug it in, at least for the foreseeable future, right? You're going to plug it in and it's not going to have this update on it. And you're going to have to go through the old steps and everything, get it all updated, install Matter on it, the Matter firmware on it. And then you'll be able to install and use it with Matter. Kind of a backwards way of doing things, but it, at least they're giving the option, I guess. It's kind of nice.
And it's weird that you mentioned that, because I was hearing recently on one of the other podcasts where they were talking about the Eve switches and how they released the update for Matter. Well, because they were HomeKit switches originally, or plugs, you actually had to have the HomeKit ecosystem, like a Apple device in your home, to be able to plug them in, add them to get that update. And then you could use the Matter update, right? So
interesting.
So people are getting stuck with that.
Yeah, I think Kevin Toffel from Stacy on IoT was mentioning that he got a bunch of Matter devices from Eve, or had a bunch of Eve devices, and you can only upgrade them to Matter if you had a HomeKit hub inside the house. And that was pretty annoying, but Eve is traditionally a HomeKit only accessory, so I guess that makes sense in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, you just got to kind of expect that the stuff sitting on the shelf isn't going to get firmware updated. Like, you're going to have to go through the previous setup process. Now, I suspect that when Leviton starts shipping this stuff, in Eve too, when they start shipping their stuff that says Matter inside on the box, it's going to be a different story then. But I'd expect these kind of like weird edge cases. These are all going to go away. These stories are going to go away, fairly soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we're still talking about the rolling out of Matter. So, we'll be in this position, I think, for the next 6 months or so. And then I think when we get to the later part of summer, or you get more towards the holidays again, I think we'll be better off. But until we get to that point, it's going to be firmware updates for everybody.
All right, well, moving on here, we've got Moen expanding they're expanding into the irrigation systems. So they announced the addition of a smart sprinkler controller and smart wireless soil sensor into what they're calling their smart water network, which allows control and security for home water systems. And with the addition of these devices, homeowners can now have full control over their entire water usage, both inside and outside the home. According to Moen, the smart sprinkler controller can reduce irrigation water use by up to 30%, could save your home up to 15,000 gallons of water annually, compared to just a regular clock-based controller. Kind of interesting how much stuff they had in this Moen line. I didn't realize, like, I knew they had the flow by Moen thing. I knew they had that because I've had one, and I had one before it was even a Moen thing. But they've got smart leak detectors, sump pump monitors, smart faucets. I guess I knew they had that one. And smart shower, smart sprinkler controller, and the wireless soil sensors. Now that's quite a bit of water related products. I'm kind of impressed.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, honestly, I'm really fascinated with the smart irrigation products that are coming out. There's been a couple things in the DIY space using Arduinos, and Aquera has a moisture detector for the soil. And there's been smaller stuff like that, but there hasn't really been an all-inclusive ecosystem that does that kind of thing. So I'm very interested in this, and I can't wait to see other companies come out with stuff and expand on it. This initial offering looks really good. I didn't see any pricing on there. I would imagine it's a decent amount, but if it actually does save you money over the year, it's probably going to pay for itself within the first year, right?
Yeah. Moen's a little bit more of a premium product than others. Like I have one of those Hive. I think it may be called Beehive. I'm not even sure. HYVE. I got it at like Home Depot or Lowe's. It's a 4-zone controller. I only needed 3. And it works perfectly fine for what I want it to do. There's a HomeKit, HomeBridge plugin, and I'm sure there's Home Assistant for it as well, because somebody's reverse engineered the API. So it works great. Can't complain.
Yeah, and all the pictures or all the products in this picture here, they look like decent products as well. Like I think a lot of times when you see products like this, they kind of look industrial or very ugly. And these, I think, will look very smooth. They look very nice. So,
well, when I first saw the Moen stuff, I thought they were going after the Ratio space, right, with their irrigation thing. So that's going to be competition right there. I have an 8-zone Ratio system set up, and it works really nice. It's one of those set it and forget it type of systems, like I don't really have to play with it much, it does its thing. But what I really like about this, and that's something I was going to work on this year, was the soil moisture sensors, right? Like they have it built in, and that's actually really cool, because sometimes parts of my lawn look extra dry just because of the slope and stuff like that this would actually tell me if it is or if it isn't. So I would like that. And I think this Moen is closed. I don't think they mentioned Matter at all, but I think it is a closed ecosystem of their own devices. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
there is a Moen Flow API, I think. So, but I don't know. I don't know about the other stuff.
But I like that they're also sitting in their own, like, where they specialize with water. All their products are centralized around that, and I like that because it means like they're focused on that and they could be the best at that, and they know water. So I really like to see
they're not doing light bulbs.
Yeah, they did add like random things like light bulbs or
security
socks
camera.
or doors. Yeah, exactly. Right.
Like, you want to watch your sprinkler.
Imagine how much water this would save, like a golf course down in Florida or something, right? Like it's crazy when you think about like this being in like a house by itself, but like a commercial setting or like a neighborhood or something like that, where there's kind of like dumb devices that kind of detect rain, and so it won't set the sprinkler system off. But most of the time, those systems don't really work that well. Or maybe it didn't, do a heavy rain in like a certain part of the yard or something like that, where it's a lot more dry than another part. So it's crazy to think like where we are with this and how much money and resources it can save in the long run.
And that's a good point too, because the Ratio ties into like weather stations around my area. So when it rains, it can say, I don't need to water today, but I have certain parts that are covered under a tree. So when it rains, they don't actually get any water. I have some large trees out there, right? So I'd still like it maybe to water that section. So that's where the motion sensors come into play. And yeah, golf courses, they dump a lot of water. So
yeah, I don't think they care about saving money.
Yeah, well, one of our
I mean, they might if they save half their money every month or something.
Well, the golf course that I regular go to, they actually pump their water out of the river, the streams that come by it, right? And they dump that on the thing. So it actually works out really nice for them. I don't know if they all do that, but this would help with that.
They use wastewater in Florida, I'm pretty sure. No. The pricing on that smart sprinkler is $179. I finally found a article that had the pricing on it, and the soil sensors actually look pretty cool. They're like little triangular wedge spike things that you
Yes.
kind of just like shove into the ground and they wirelessly connect back. So that it was actually cooler than I thought it was going to be. Like you could stick this out in your lawn and actually have a good idea what your soil is doing. So this is actually really smart. And those, let's see, the sensors are sold separately. They don't really say how much they are. It has a lithium battery up to 6 years. They haven't said if it's replaceable or not, but the soil sensor controller starts at $70. So probably won't be too pricey to get a couple of those sensors for each zone and kind of monitor how well your irrigation is doing. This is actually a really, really cool way of doing it.
Now, I might have missed it. Does it say anywhere on how it actually communicates with everything, what wireless protocol or anything they're using?
I think the Moen website might have said that. I don't see it on here.
I bet you it's not Matter.
No, not on lithium battery. It's probably like Bluetooth or something, low energy type product.
I think that's what the Aquara one uses, isn't it, Gavin? The Bluetooth. Maybe I'm thinking of something else.
Aquara is usually Zigbee, but I can't speak. I know some of their devices are Wi-Fi, but I'm not sure if any of them have Bluetooth.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of a different. There was a different soil sensor I was looking into at one point, and it did Bluetooth, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
The one I've been looking at is called the Spruce Zigbee soil moisture sensors. They're a Zigbee solution. I just haven't been able to get my hands on one up here yet. But those are something I was looking to tie into Home Assistant to help with the watering of my lawn.
The sensors are $70. The list of 105. I have no idea what that means.
I feel like $70 is a little rich, but
you do it per zone. You only got
how many sensors do you need, right?
I mean, I would assume you need for an average yard though, you'd probably need like 3 or 4 at least, right?
Yeah, I would need 3 for my 3 zones.
I guess you would only do 1 sensor per zone. I was thinking multiple sensors per zone.
And the price of the controller you have there is actually less than I was expecting, to be honest. So it kind of balances out.
Yeah, not too bad. I'm interested to see more of it. So now I just need a house so I can use it.
It doesn't really say what protocol it is, but I'm sure it's some kind of like low.
It's probably just using RF or something.
Yeah, really low frequency thing that can punch through dirt. I mean, this thing is going to get buried in your lawn somewhere out in the middle. You may never find it, until a lawnmower runs over it. But
God, that would be an expensive mistake.
This would be a perfect thing for Yolink in the LoRaWAN stuff, for the long range.
That would be, honestly.
Or a Z-Wave 800 device with the long range built in. That's be great for that.
Ooh.
Yeah, put a little picture in our. There's an interesting picture here. I'll put it in our Slack chat that we have. Like it's got about halfway down the page, it's got a picture of it like it's like fully buried under the ground. So I guess it's like below your grass. So whatever they're using, it's got to punch through dirt, soil, and potentially being buried in the ground and lost over years. It's interesting products. So I'm excited about these, I guess. I'm not excited about the price, but I'm excited about these things.
You'll just have to train Clippy not to run it over.
Well, Clippy won't even get near it. Like Clippy cuts so high out of the way. I don't think it'd be a problem.
And you have to attach Apple AirTags to find them later on when you got to take it out and change the battery.
They'll release that $100 version that has Find My Device in it.
Well, speaking of water technologies, Ratio actually came out with something too at CES. That's a little bit down market of installing a smart sprinkler system. Everyone's got a hose. So here's the Ratio hose timer. This little gadget's kind of simple. You basically just attach it in line with your, on the spigot with your hose out the other end, and you can turn on and off your sprinkler there. You can set schedules. You can basically use it just like a in-ground, irrigation system, but with a hose. I could have used one of these years ago when I kept overfilling my pool. I mean, I think Jason and I talked about this at my first house. At a pool, would forget that the water was running out there. I'd run out and have to check it. Turn off, the water would be pouring over the edge of the swimming pool, and I have to run out and turn it off. But it'd be great to have this, just sit out there and make sure that I've turned it off or turn it on when I need to. Let it run for a few hours. Turn it back off. Man, Would have loved to have something like this.
I'm pretty sure, and this would be great for smaller yards. If you don't need a full irrigation system, you just want to have a single, sprinkler in the middle of the yard. This would be perfect for that. I was the whole pool thing. I was actually going to tie one of my zones from my irrigation system into the pool so that I could just run that and it would just fill up the pool, top off the pool when I need, right? Like that's easy enough. I have a line sitting right there. Just got to add it in.
And only $29 more than that soil sensor for mowing. So
yeah, 100. It's $99 for the Ratio hose timer or hose sprinkler controller thing. I don't know. It's a good idea. I like it. Runs on Wi-Fi. Does what it needs to do. $100. It's more expensive than a regular hose timer that you just kind of like manually turn, kind of like one of those old light timers, I guess. But those don't have Wi-Fi, and those don't get in a nice little app, and you can't set them up to water your lawn like you
I didn't even know they had manual or regular hose timer things.
Yeah. They're not, I can't remember how much they are, but they're not very expensive. All right. Well, that wraps up our CES stuff here. All the links and topics we discussed tonight can be found on our show notes over at HomeTech.fm/419. All right. Not much in the mailbag this week, but we do have a pick of the week. TJ, I think you found this. I think I ran across it too. It's an Arduino shirt folder. Kind of cool. Someone made a little project and decided to fold shirts.
This thing is awesome. I'm hoping for a newer version. This one uses cardboard, but it's basically just a cardboard cloth folder hooked up to Arduino, and you just throw a shirt on top of it, and it just folds it. And it's a little sloppy, I'm not gonna lie, but it's also made with cardboard. I think they were talking about in the comments of expanding it to where it would move the folded clothes out of the way for you, so that way you just have a fully autonomous clothing bot.
Ooh, yeah. Somebody will 3D print something better here.
Somehow. Oh, I'm waiting for the next version that will take my clothes out the dryer, off the hangers, then fold it, and then put it in a nice pile and put it in my drawer. That I'll spend some dollars on.
We're close.
We're close.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Now, if you were going to worry about me and my lawnmower robot as far as the uprising go, this one's already in the house. Like, I wouldn't worry about me. I can lock the door. Clippy's not getting in. This thing's already in the house. It's gonna walk around and fold you like that.
Yeah, but what's it gonna do? Hit you with cardboard? I mean, Clippy is dangerous because Clippy could cut your hand off or something.
This will fold you.
Like you might lock your door so it can't get in, but you have to leave at some point.
Listen, I treat all my robots in my house with respect. I even tell Dusty thank you after he's done vacuuming. I want them to remember this when the uprising comes, I was never disrespectful for them at all.
Yeah, I don't know if holding a robot against its will is good in the long term, but
I keep him charged. I wipe him down. I make sure his pads are all clean. I take care of him. I vacuum. I dust off my Alexas. I take care of all my gadgets. So they'll remember me.
Man, what a life! What a life!
I know it gets treated better than the wife, but you know what? Like I said, when the uprising happens, they will remember. They don't forget. It will be cached there along with my profile.
All right. Well, if you have any feedback, questions, comments, picks of the week, or great ideas for a show, give us a shout. The email address is feedback@hometech.fm, or you can reach out on hometech.fm/feedback and fill out that online form. All right. Big some project updates this week. TJ, you've got a big job update, I guess. You're doing a big job, so that's kind of a project, right?
Yeah, I think this is one of those jobs where they say it'll make or break you. And, it hasn't been too bad yet, so hopefully that keeps along there. No, we've so unfortunately with the job, I have some larger projects coming up, which means I can't do any of my own personal projects. Knock on some wood here. The Home Assistant's running great, unrated, it has no problems. All that kind of technology stuff in my house has been just fine. But here at the end of the month, we've got a large home theater project going on. We're going to do some nice speakers behind an acoustic weave screen, nice big old Epson or JVC projector, and doing some Elan home automation with that as well. So that would be the first job with Elan. I'm really looking forward to that. And then just got notice a couple weeks ago that we signed our largest project so far. It's 4 huddle rooms, 3 conference rooms, distributed audio, networking, automatic shades. This one job is bigger than everything we did last year combined. So that is in the works right now. We're going back and forth with the designer and the landlord and the contractor, and that roundabout thing you do when you build a new project like this. So those 2 projects are taking up all my time right now. Hopefully by the end of the month I'll have some really nice pictures to show of the home theater, though, because it is going to be really nice.
Nice, man. Well, congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, honestly, it's been a long time coming, and I've done projects like this before working for other companies, but not my own. So this is a exciting new venture for us. So
cool. Well, like you said, Unraid, and it reminded me of what my project was. I was here, and I was telling my dad about Angry Santa movie, and I'm like, we got to watch this movie. So I sat down, and I'm like, how are we going to do this? And I look at the bottom of his TV. He's got a TCL TV. That's Roku, right? So I'm like, do you have a little Roku remote? And he had a little Roku remote, and we loaded the Plex app. And I'm like, I'm sitting on the couch. I'm like, just yelling like down, left, down, right, up, down, click that. He got the Plex app opened. I clicked sign in on there, and then you can sign in with my web browser on the computer in my lap. Boom, boom, boom. Everything loads up just fine. We hit play on the movie. It goes to 13% and just stops. So I'm like, what the heck? So I'm like, this is like a transcoding thing. Something's not working right. You can go to Plex and kind of like see that it was a 4K movie, and it wanted to send it to us at like 720p, which it was not 720p.
Transcoding at 4K is not good.
Well, yeah, but I have it's a decent Intel chip in there. It should be able to handle it. I'd switch it over to like make my CPU hertz setting, which is an actual setting. Didn't seem to do anything. So I'm like, I added in I have an NVIDIA card in there. So I added that to Plex, didn't do anything. And I'm about to give up, and I'm like on the last page of some Unraid forum thing on like all these problems. And I'm kind of like looking, and I go back to the previous page and scroll down, and somebody said, oh yeah, if the first thing you should ever do is delete all the codecs out of this directory in your Plex app data. And I'm like, what an incredibly nerdy, stupid thing no one should ever have to do. And I did that. And guess what? Boom, the movie just loads right up instantly, of course. So that was my project.
Feels good when you solve a problem, doesn't it?
It does. And now it's kind of cool. I can watch movies from here, there, and everywhere. Like I can just load that Plex app up. What's funny is that like the 4K movie just loaded right on my phone, like instantly. So that was fine. But like the, getting that transcoded over to, some other client device that needs a lower resolution. I thought I had everything set up, but there was really no way to test it until I had to be 1,800 miles away from home before I could test that, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that's all I got. Gavin, you had like a whole laundry list of things, and I'm just going to let you take it away because, man, it sounded like you've been busy. For some reason, you're making us all look bad.
No, I can't follow. I'm just happy I didn't have to follow up TJ because now I feel better.
Stop doing stuff, Gavin.
Right?
No, it's just I'm constantly tweaking the place, right? But nothing
all the time for activities.
No, this week, one of the things I wanted to do for the longest time was replace my fireplace remote. So I have a Valor fireplace, and it has a pretty standard remote that uses not IR, RF remote, right? So I have a Bond hub that I was using to, automate the fireplace, but I actually wanted to just replace the remote altogether so that you don't get into that situation where the hub doesn't realize it's on, et cetera, right? So I bought one of the Zoo's toggle switches. They're the wireless ones. They come with they're battery powered. They look like a real switch. You can stick them on the wall. I think it's like the Pico remote where you can actually take them off a stand or something like that and walk with them. I grabbed one of those through Home Assistant, automated with the Bond hub, and now I can control the fireplace with that. Now, the wife walked in and she saw this, and the first thing she says, "Another gadget." That's the. She sees. I go to work. I come home and there's some new random toy sitting around. But then I explained to her why I did this, and the main reason was when the fireplace was on, the rest of the house got cold because the Ecobee thought, the temperature, the average temperature throughout the house started to raise and it wouldn't run. So then you go upstairs and the bedroom was really cold. So By automating this, I have it so that now the Ecobee changes into fireplace mode, where it ignores the sensor in the family room where the fireplace is, and the rest of the house will stay at a good temperature anyway. And once I explained that to her, she kind of gave me that look and walked away like,
oh, brother, is what she was thinking.
yeah. But at the same time,
I don't want to admit you're right.
It was the acceptance, you know. It was, you know, I was like, yes, I won this
the
one.
non-verbal acceptance. Yes, that's what I got.
Yeah.
This is the life I chose.
Yeah. And also don't, you know, but don't.
That is a pretty cool automation, though, to be honest. I mean, something that a lot of people probably wouldn't even think about, but that is a worthwhile addition.
Yeah, and like it was just one of those things that bugged me, because when we had the fireplace on, I go to the bedroom and the bed was freezing, right? And then I realized it's because the Ecobee thinks the house is too warm because it averages out the sensors, and the fireplace was in the room with one of the sensors. So by automating that now, like the rest of the house will stay at a nice temperature even though the fireplace is on, right? So it works out. She's happy. I'm happy. One of those things I took off the list. We're all good. The other thing I did is my hub, my Home Assistant hub, is actually in my basement. It's part of my server. It's in the corner, which means my antennas were back there. So I got some long USB cables, and I just ran them through my ceilings, centralized them in the basement, so it has better access to the whole house. And that's helped with response times and stuff like that. So that's been really good. Just an idea, if someone has an open basement, it's really easy to do and it's worth it. And then my motion lighting. I've been playing around with motion lighting. So a lot of people do the, you have a motion sensor in a room. It turns on the light when you walk in, but I never really got into that, because then it always turned off the light when you were just sitting there, right? And you wanted it to stay on. So I've been playing a lot with the motion lighting in some of the rooms and just trying to get a feel for it. So I have it in like my office where it turns on the light. But I use it with the Innovelli switches, and I've really written blueprints through Home Assistant where I do something a little different. So when the motion's triggered through my motion sensor, my light, the LED on the paddle actually pulses to say, hey, I'm in like motion mode, right? And then that way, when you look at it, you'll say, oh, okay, if motion stops, the light's going to turn off. But then, as an added bonus, what if you wanted the light to stay on? Well, you just tap the top button and it stops pulsing, and now motion's deactivated, so it will always stay on. Or even, what if you never wanted it to come on? Well, when it's off, you just tap the bottom button and it will pulse a different color, which means it's disabled, and it will stay off, right? So I've done those. That's a kind of like my use of the LEDs with the Innovellis, that, even the wife likes, when the light in the backyard's on, she's like, you can look at it and you see it's pulsing. So something in the backyard tripped our lights, right? So she knows there's an animal out there. Don't let the dog out, et cetera, right? And it will go off. So it's one of those little added things that I really like. And I only have it in a few rooms until I get the millimeter wave devices that are coming out. Then I'll start looking at more of utilizing this to control lighting.
That's pretty cool.
I like using those like light sensor things, like in rooms that I am now, like a laundry room, or we actually have it in our laundry room, which is more of a hallway type thing. But when you walk in the room, it instantly turns on. But like you're saying, if you're away from the sensor, it can't see you, doesn't see you wiggling around, or you're down at the other end, not moving very much. The lights will turn off after around 5 or 10 minutes or whenever they're set to turn off. And sometimes you could just be like at the other end of the room working, and there's not enough room there. Solution would be to put another motion sensor in, yay! But also, like, I've thought many times of doing what you're talking about with tapping buttons and, setting it into always on. Never have done it, but so congratulations to you for getting something done.
If you want help doing it with your Home Assistant, I made a blueprint or something like that. I can modify it for your thing. So we can get it working when you're ready for that day.
I think after CEDIA this year, Gavin, you just swing by Ohio, you just automate my house, and then afterwards you can swing by Seth's house down in Florida, and then go back up to Canada.
Those are going to be my biggest jobs ever. Okay.
You're gonna be at my house going, why isn't this thing running? I'm like, I don't know. It crashed again. I don't get it.
How come when I turn the thermostat on, Clippy comes and goes into the garage?
That's the only thing working in his house is Clippy, it seems like.
Yeah. Until he runs out into the road and tries to get away, and I have to chase him around.
Did you have to put him on like lockdown when you left, or you just let him go still?
I turned his scheduling off, just for the, just left him on the charger, sitting there in the backyard in the cold. And what I didn't want to have happen, because I noticed this, the front, like they give you a measuring stick that you measure like how far away you want him to cut. And I was like, well, I'll buy the front. We don't have a curb. We have like, it just goes straight into the gutter, I guess. I don't know how to explain that. There's no curb. But he gets too close to that, and he kind of like, the back, when he's turning around, sometimes the back wheels don't catch, and he's just kind of like slides back in and falls off, and he's out of balance then and turns off. So that's like the absolute, like, it's fine if he does that in the backyard and goes over the line and just stops working. But like in the front, in the street, in the gutter is probably the worst place I want him to break down and stop working. Because if somebody's just going to come by and be like, oh, somebody wants me to take this away for, I'll take this off his hands, and they'll just take off with it. And yeah, I didn't want that to happen while I was gone. So I just paused him.
Don't blame you for that.
You're mistreating Clippy. Never leave your Clippy in the gutter.
No, Gavin, even robots deserve breaks, all right?
He's getting a vacation too. Yeah, Ty saying, Seth, you're going to make Gavin emotional for Clippy. Yeah, I did.
I miss you.
I can't wait to get back home and flip the switch and see him run around and get back to work, because he loves cutting the lawn. I gotta glue his googly eyes on and all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah.
Just don't overwhelm him. You gave him so much time off. He's just gonna come back to a full on and be like, oh.
No, I just press, it's a play button. You're gonna hit play and let him go to town. He'll be. I may change out his razor blades, get him some new sharp razor blades for the season, for a couple weeks, I guess. I don't know how long they last, but
especially with that coral grass you got going on down there.
Oh man, it's like cutting sticks.
So hard down there.
Yeah. The other day I heard this awful noise coming from him. I'm like, oh no, he ran over a stick. And I go back over there, and by the time I got to him, it was like he chewed it up and spit it out. But it smelled just like a like after you use one of those rip saws. It smelled just like that.
Oh.
Like I was like, yeah.
That's cool. You got a nice mulcher
2x4.
and a grass cutter.
I know, right?
He's just practicing for the uprising. That's all.
He's testing his limits.
building muscle.
Oh man, that's too funny. All right, well that's gonna wrap up this week. We do want to give a big thank you to everyone who supports the show, but especially those who are able to financially support through our Patreon page. If you don't know about the Patreon page, head on over to HomeTech.fm/support to learn how you can support HomeTech for as little as $1 a month. Any pledge over $5 a month gets you a big shout out on the show, but every pledge gets you an invite to our private Slack chat, The Hub, where you and other supporters of the show can gather every day and chit-chat about all sorts of fun stuff in there. If you want to help out the show but can't support financially, totally understand. We just appreciate a 5-star review or a positive rating in the podcast app of your choice. That wraps up another week of news here on HomeTech. Everybody have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.
Take care. And TJ says nothing.
I thought it was New Year, New You, man.
Oh, no. Back to the old ways.
Nope. Tricked you.
Well, I have the recording from last week, so.
It's
Yeah, I was gonna say like take care, then Gavin takes it right before me, and I'm like, what am I gonna say now?
It's like a gym membership. He was in there the first week with something new, and now he's canceled.
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
back to his old ways,
Yep. So much for that New Year's resolution.
Yeah, exactly.